Good evening. The Lord bless you. Goeienaand. Die Here seën u baie. Modimo a le tshegofatse dumelang bagaetsho. Sanibonani bakithi uNkulunkulu anibusise kakhulu. So good to be with you tonight. My colleague and co-pilot will be joining us in a minute or so, but from Durban. He is dealing with the issues of load shedding. His lighting is not the best because of load shedding, but they're working on it now. And I'm sure that he will be with us very, very soon. A few things we are going to look at tonight. The first one, obviously, is going to be the trip we had to Kimberley, Mahaneng local municipality. That's where my colleague and deputy president has been with me in that area. We went there because of complaints that the people there about lack of water. Water has become a serious issue in the country. There are some who say in the area for 4 years, they have not had electricity. And in the community where we were, they said 4 weeks without electricity. People are suffering. People are really, really suffering. And it is not necessary for them to suffer because help is available. If I might bring something here about one of the proposals we made that government rejected. When we started having problems, and there were signs that we were going to have problems with water, our Jewish friends said Israel is among the best when it comes to improvising. As you know, that Israel is in a desert. And yet today, they have, according to them, they say they have more water than they need in a desert. They are able to use salt water, desalination process. They were among the first, if not the first, to change salty water from the sea to drinkable water. They do not even waste water from the toilet and the shower. They have a way of cleaning dirty water. They also are able to preserve their water because there are no leakages in the country. You will never see a drop of water in the street. They save their water. They say to us that they have a system from the computers they can quickly tell. An alarm goes off when there's a leakage anywhere. And so they are quick to make the necessary repairs. So they are not losing water. South Africa is losing millions of liters, even a month, because throughout the country, you will find leakages. Sometimes pipes are burst and the water just splashes into the air. So we are wasting water. And when help is available, government says, because if it's Israel, no, thank you for the help. And I think it's because they are putting their politics, narrow politics, before the needs of human beings. The fact is, if we need something that those we think are enemies has, for the sake of the population, we should be using that. I mean, if I had enemies, I know some people obviously don't like me, but I cannot hate. I'm not allowed to hate. I love everybody. Okay? So let me put it this way. If I have enemies, my children are suffering, and I know the only person who can assist is my enemy, I will humble myself and go to my enemy and say, please help my children. Please help me because I need help. But government say, no, if you're Israel, because you used to support the previous government, we don't want to have anything to do with you. So I'm saying, friends, we must ensure that we put politics aside, petty politics aside, and put the needs of the people first. So we went to Kimberley. And this local municipality were taken to a place where they had a pump station and a reservoir. The pump station had broken down, and they said they're going to fix it. From 2019, they've been trying, they're not succeeding. And they are spending the project of 85 million rands. But the most painful thing is, we were met by the communities there, members of the community, because our members there, the Sukers, Jonathan and Marie, our MP, have been working in that area. And we were pleasantly surprised to see how people are converging around them. People are saying, guys, help. We have knocked at the doors of other political parties. Nobody's willing to help. So can you do something? So they've started doing something, and they invited us. So yesterday, I went there with my colleague. We met both black, white, and colored. People were complaining. But what surprised me and what was heartbreaking was a certain Meneer Swart, obviously is a white person. Meneer Swart said, I told the mayor and the municipal manager that I can fix the small pump that is there so that people at least can have some water. And they say, he says, they didn't accept this offer. But the more serious one, they have a mine, the Ikapa mine, made an offer to the mayor. They say, mine management said, we will bring our expertise and all the tools that are needed. We'll buy the piping and just ensure that people get water. Now, members of the community said, the mayor refused and said, I don't want a white man to go and repair that thing. So when we met with the mayor, because we met with her, it's a lady, we met with the mayor and the municipality manager. When I asked the mayor about that, she denied it. She said, no, I can never do something like that. I've never refused for any white man to repair the pump. Then after our meeting with them, I invited them to a community hall where we were going to address members of the community. So when we arrived, the mayor did not come. She didn't accept our offer. She said she was busy, but the municipal manager came. When I mentioned the fact that the mayor has denied that she did not refuse assistance from the mine because it was going to be a white man coming, the people shouted, people screamed, they said, yeah, she did, she refused, So I found it very sad. That you can have a mayor who would refuse help. So I'm saying to all our friends, those who are watching, people want solutions. Let us get closer to people. Let us offer people answers. Okay? So that's what I said to the public about what the mayor said. The people screamed. They said, no. And the municipal manager was there because we had invited him. He was there. So I said to the public, the municipal manager is here, is going to address you and answer some of your questions. Ooh, the people didn't want to listen to him. Hey, they were angry. People are angry. They were angry. I pleaded with the people. Said, please give him a chance. Please listen to what he wants to say. He was interrupted here and there because the people are saying these people are not telling us the truth. Some of the people that have mechanical expertise, mechanical knowledge, who would know how to do repairs even of diesel engines. I said, no. We have tried to make appointments. They are not listening to us. We have sent emails. We have sent letters, we have phoned, they don't listen. The municipal manager was standing next to me. I said, Mr. Manager, what do you say? No, he just gave excuses. Now, to make sure that there was progress, I said, Mr. Mayor, when we were with you in the office, we said to you, we want an open door policy. And you said you can come at any time. I said, so we want this to be extended to people of the community. Are you agreeing? In front of everybody, the mayor said yes. And the gentleman who said they refused his offer to fix the engine, he said no, they refused. Municipal manager said he did not remember. So after my session, I thought I need to bring them together. So I left the platform with the mayor, municipal manager, and that gentleman came. At the back of the hall, we discussed a few things, and he confirmed, the mayor, the municipal manager confirmed, I will meet with you. Then I said, date, please, and time. So Thursday, tomorrow morning, I'm hoping that the meeting is going to take place. So ladies and gentlemen, we went there to go and assist, and we asked the mayor. People said, we want to know, when is water going to be restored? When is water going to be restored? When we were in his office, said between 3 and 4 days. And when I announced that, they said, no. We want water now. 3 or 4 days. We have been waiting for 4 months. So the mayor said, okay, we're going to do something. Tonight, some sections will start getting water. Tonight, meaning yes, last night. And before we went to bed last night, Mary, who is the main contact person, got a call. The pumps are running. Can you imagine the community, members of the community? They were swearing at other political parties. Some of them, they had councillors, ward councillors, where these things happening. They are swearing at them, so and so. We went to you, these people are useless and all this. Hey, CDP, thank you for coming. So I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, I was so happy and blessed by what our people are doing in a community that is struggling for water. We believe we are going to bring solutions to South Africa. People of South Africa are going to ask themselves the question, why did we wait so long before allowing the ACDP to start serving us? There are resources, but people are blocked, people are stopped. It is painful. It is painful to see government trying to take us back to apartheid. When affirmative action was first introduced in Parliament, the ACDP said, we will support affirmative action, but there will be a ceiling. There will be a sunset clause. We said for only 25 years. Only 25 years. So 25 years is gone about 5 years ago, because now we are almost we're going for 30 years. And some government is still, the ANC is still coming with new laws now to introduce apartheid, to introduce discrimination based on the color of one's skin. I must say, friends, ACDP, I will never agree with that. I will never accept that. The most important thing, and the truth is, people do not mind. They don't care how the services come. They don't care whether it's a white man, it's a black man, it's a brown man, it's a yellow man. They don't care. People want services. And that is our reasoning, that when it comes to providing services to people, we do not want to look at the color of a person's skin. Okay? When people are sick, they go to hospitals, they go to doctors. They don't say, I want the doctor of this background, of this color. When a person is sick, they are sick. They want anybody that can help them. So it is the wish and the prayer of the ACDP that God will raise more men and women with caring hearts who say, we want to help our people, regardless of how they look like. When we thought that we are having an issue now with job reservations, now we are told that even water, there are going to be quotas based on race. Why? You ask, how would the ACDP deal with this matter? All of us need food. All of us need food, including the very people who are pushing now race politics. They need food. Where does that food come from? From the farms. Who are the farmers? Majority are white. We have a few black upcoming farmers, but majority are still white. Are we going to stop them from producing food because of the color of their skin? Actually, what they are trying to do, what government is trying to do with the rationing water, introducing quotas of who must get how much. I mean, this is definitely going to cause many farmers to want to stop farming. And if the farmers stop farming, where are we going to get food? Those that are talking about importing food, you cannot import everything. And what is important will not be enough. That is why ACDP must say it loud and clear, that we do not want race politics in this age. We have so many problems. We should learn from the past. We have so many problems. So we want to say, oh, my colleague is there. My co-pilot is ready that side. So how are you, my brother?
The challenges that we've had. Are you able to hear me?
I'm not sure how much you heard of what I was saying about our experience yesterday in Kimberley, Mahadeng local municipality. So please add on to what I said if you heard me, or just share your experience. What touched you the most in Mahadeng local municipality? What touched you the most? I spoke about what touched me, but please go ahead and tell them. And this issue of race politics, I don't like it. I don't want it, because I know God himself does not like it. Now, what's going to happen if farmers are not given enough water because of the color of their skin? I mean, this would be destroying the country. This would be destroying the country. There would be
absolutely, President.
There would be famine, which would have been made by government itself. That's why the ACDP must speak out. So please share your experiences.
Well, President, I think certainly this for this year, and obviously I've had many highlights in the ACDP, but for this year, certainly this visit to the Northern Cape was the highlight. The highlight in terms of seeing how effective and how efficient and how productive the ACDP can actually be when given the opportunity. So here we had residents who did not have water for some 4 to 5 months, called political parties, called the premier, spoke to the mayor, municipal manager, political parties from all of the different spheres, from your big political parties, and then they came to the ACDP. And what was amazing for me, and it speaks to God's favor, that when we do things God's way, there is no one. And I believe, President, that the Lord used the ACDP, and in particular, our Member of Parliament, Mari Sukers, and her husband, Dr. Jonathan Sukers. The Lord used them as well in that area at the right time, because they came in and started putting pressure. Remember that our member, Honorable Sukers, was also assaulted in front of the media while doing an on-site inspection. And so there were lots of challenges. There was huge amounts of money, 5.5 million rand that was allocated for a temporary measure. Then some 86 million rand that was allocated for the pump station to treat the water. And so all of these different interventions was taking years to implement. But the sad thing, President, was the community's allegation that when the Ikapa mine indicated that they had the expertise and that they were able to fix the pumps and fix the pipes and bring water to the community in a couple of days, and if the community was just able to provide the manpower, and apparently the allegation is that the mayor refused because of the color of skin that it was coming with. And although the mayor refused the allegation, the community members were adamant that this is what actually happened. And I think it's sad. It's sad when, and I think one can see the analogy also with regards to Eskom, where with Eskom, your engineers, your qualified engineers, whether it's civil, electrical, mechanical engineers, that knew how Eskom worked, that took Eskom to be the most efficient power station in the early 2000s. And now Eskom is almost hated, I would say, by most South Africans. But the problem there was race-based politics, that certain individuals had to be removed irrespective of their skill to make room for people of color who did not necessarily have the skill. And I think that we are beginning to see this now playing out, not only within the electricity sector, but also within the water sector. And President, as we sit, I'm sitting in darkness. I've got a lamp, thank goodness, and thank the Lord for that. My inverter, I'm having to use my inverter to keep some lights on, and my power sources and so on. But we also had no water for a few days as well here in eThekwini because of some breakdowns. And I think that, you know, when we as members of parliament are experiencing, perhaps at a smaller scale, what South Africans have been experiencing, many South Africans have been experiencing for 30 years under the rule of the majority party. And so very clearly, sir, change must come. Let the members of South Africa understand that we cannot continue to do the same thing and expect a different result come 2024. We have to ensure that the ACDP is the majority party come 2024.
Yes, sir.
And so maybe, sir, just the highlight. Maybe let me finish off with this. The highlight. The highlight is that when the ACDP intervenes, results are there. When the ACDP promises intervention, we don't just make a promise, we keep it. And so I think that was so very clear and evident in our visit to the Northern Cape.
You know, friends, what the DP just said now, that when the ACDP intervenes, results are there. When we are with the municipal manager and the mayor, he said water will be restored within 3 to 4 days. But because of the pressure, I mean, the municipal manager saw that in the hall, the people were angry. And then they had to move things quickly so that the same night, while we were still there, water would be going into the tanks, all right? And people in some areas got their water. So we are grateful. ACDP is definitely the party of the future. One sad thing about what's happening with the water crisis is that when water has to be provided, even with the tanks, they sell water that they should be given free of charge to the locals. I mean, it's evil. Even closer to where we are now in Hammanskraal, where people have died from cholera. Cholera because of dirty water that is given to people. Water is sold to people. Water that should be free is sold to people. And where does the money go? The money goes to the pockets of the officials. Obviously, corruption in South Africa is not decreasing, it is increasing. And some people ask questions. How are we going to finally stop this corruption? Now, the simple answer is for as long as the ANC is in power, corruption is going to continue. You need to bring in, we need to tell our friends, you cannot continue supporting people that have failed you. Because what the ANC could not do in 30 years, they will not be able to do in 300 years. Because their vision is fat checks and fat bank accounts. So they're just lining their pockets, they're just working for themselves and for the public. Let me assure you that while the Lord has spared us and we are in South Africa, we will defend right and fight for justice. As I said earlier, the water laws that will regulate supply of water to different people. We want to ensure that it is righteous. Those laws are righteous. They are equitable, that nobody is disadvantaged because of the color of their skin. So I don't know whether DP, you want to come in here before we leave this subject. One thing that I also did not like, that is also included in these laws, water laws, that are going to be passed, that are going to be regulated based on the color of the people, is to hear that all the farmers will have to apply affirmative action and ensure that 25% of the shares go to the farmer and 75% to people who look like me. Now, the question is, if you're only going to get 25% of your output, how many will say, hooray, I'm going to continue? This is another trap. Now, one of the things we need to bring in DP while we're talking about this is that we saw in Canada, the Canadian government trying to stop farmers because they want fair mine. After the Canadian government, the Dutch, Netherlands, they did the same. And the farmers in Netherlands, they were ready. They fought back. They started the party. And they got seats. All right, to say, even to South African farmers, if government is doing this to you, look at the political party that's fighting your cause. Come alongside the ACDP. Come alongside the ACDP. Let us fight this thing together to ensure that these people who want to starve the nation are booted out. So Canada did it, trying to destroy the farmers. Netherlands did it. And there were blockages for weeks with the big trucks, big tractors, and other farming equipment, protesting and say, government, you are not going to do what you want to do to us. You are not going to take our farms. What those governments wanted to do was to take their farms and say, we want to build new green energy on those farms because they want to blame farming as increasing CO2. While we know, we're taught in school that CO2 is necessary. Okay, we release it, and then obviously it's also necessary for the composition and the manure to be formed and all those things. I'm not very technical, but that I remember. But in South Africa, they are not using that language of taking the farms. They want to starve them with water, starve them, so that they will ultimately walk away from farms to create famine in the country. Government will know, we will know, I will tell them we are aware of what you're doing. You will not repeat what they did in Canada and also in Australia. Australia, they tried it again. but the people stood up. Now we know that the intentions of government are not good, they're evil. Quote me on that one. Their intentions are evil with this law, and we are going to stand against it. DP, before we leave this subject, sir, it is your turn.
Yes, sir.
You can tell the people
All right.
what the feeling is, and then we'll go to another interesting one now.
Well, I think if we look at what the Department of Water and Sanitation is attempting, so we actually have regulations, draft regulations that have been gazetted, and I think that individuals have up until July to make their comments. So again, I want to appeal to South Africans to make their comments, to reject these racist draft regulations. Essentially, President, the draft regulations say that any farmer or individual in South Africa who receives, they have to have also a water license in order to farm. Now, if they're via this water license, or permit, and so if they are receiving between 250,000 to 500,000, 500,000 cubic meters, then they've got to give 25% ownership to Black South Africans. If it's between 500,000 to 1 million cubic meters that they are receiving in terms of the permit, then they have to give 50% shares of their farm or of their property to Black owners. But if they are getting more than 1 million cubic meters of water via their permit or water license, then 75% of the shares of that particular farm has got to go to Black South Africans. And very clearly, President, what this will do is this government says that we've got to ensure food security. In his State of the Nation addresses, the President Ramaphosa indicated that South Africa and the ruling party is going to be working to ensure that there is food security in the country. But what this does, it is a deliberate attempt, in my opinion, a deliberate attempt at ensuring that there is no food security in South Africa by forcing farmers to give up to 75% ownership of their property to those who do not know how to farm the land, possibly, to those who have no interest in food production, to those who may not necessarily have the skills or the knowledge to put food on the table, and the scientific aspects that go into farming. I think that it is ludicrous, it is insane that this kind of legislation is actually thought of and being perpetrated and being pushed forward by government. It has to be fought with everything. And South Africans, President, just like you indicated in the Netherlands, when the farmers there stood up against the greening. And by the way, the European Union is looking at introducing what they call CBAM. And CBAM is going to be a carbon tax, which is going to be instituted across the world. Across the world, the European Union is looking at instituting a carbon tax. So countries that don't comply with regards to so-called carbon emissions, and by the way, it's carbon dioxide that gets emitted and not necessarily just that one element carbon, but it's carbon dioxide. And carbon dioxide in the atmosphere amongst all of the gases is about 0.03% of all of the gases is what carbon dioxide makes up. And your cows and so on emit, of that 0.03% or so, your cows emit, maybe 4% of that. So it's minuscule. And we're looking at causing food shortages, as you rightfully said. It's got to be resisted. It's an evil agenda. It's got to be resisted. And we within the ACDP will not sit on our laurels, but ensure that we fight it with everything that we have, including these draft regulations in terms of the Minister of Water and Sanitation.
We have to remind our members and supporters that because cows are blamed, thank you for giving those figures, cows are blamed for emitting too much gas, that because of climate change, that is a threat to the world. They say cows have contributed and cows are contributing, and we must do away with cows and replace them with meat that comes from the laboratory. Bill Gates is spending millions on scientific researches because they want to produce meat in laboratories. Do away with cows. Guys, we can't do that, man. South Africans like boerewors and braai. Imagine having braai with meat from a laboratory. It's not going to happen. So we have to stand up. We have to stand up. We have to protest and say it's not going to happen in South Africa. The other day, actually, in one of the clips I have, there is now fish. Fish that comes also from. Did you see that from the? It's not from
it's
the land.
3D printing. Yeah, 3D printing of fish.
Can you imagine 3D printing of fish? People are eating it, and they say it tastes just like the fish we know, and it's not true. Those things are full of chemicals. They want to reduce the population, so they want to poison us with whatever they can think of, so that we don't eat proper food. I heard that in one state in Australia, they also want to do away with herbal food, with herbal medicine. Okay, sorry, herbal medicine, organic food. They want to do away with organic food and herbal medicine. Okay, why? Because what's the goal? It's demonic, is devilish, and the ACDP definitely is going to fight and protect our farmers. We need more meat, not less meat. We need more meat, not less meat, because we are people of braai flesh. The Lord bless all our farmers. We are going to pray for them and all their workers and all their farms. Bless them all, bless them all, bless them all. And I thank God for them. Thank God that we are eating today. Now, Donna Kotie says, all farmers have studied at agricultural schools. There is a lot of scientific stuff plus agricultural stuff that one needs to know, like handling animal diseases, crop diseases, seasons, and what to do and how to do. If skilled agricultural people do not maintain farms, the whole food system will collapse. So true, Donna. Thank you for raising this matter. That is why we need to stand with our farmers. We need to stand with all their workers. We need to stand with all their farmers. We need to stand with all their workers to ensure that we protect ourselves, we protect our future. So Fallon says, let's fight for our farmers. In doing so, we are securing our food security. That's Fallon. And then Brandon Schaefer says, plants use carbon dioxide and converts some of it back into oxygen. Maybe instead of killing cows, plant a tree. Hey, this is a truth that we learned early in school. They don't want to talk about planting trees because planting more trees is not going to fit into their evil agenda. But we know that planting trees will produce more oxygen that we need. Okay? And Tracy says, no such thing as climate change, and they blame it on cows. Bill Gates, Satan's puppet. You can say amen to that one. Yeah, this is fair. And Charles, farmers are gifts from God. Why punish them for being the best farmers in the world? Yeah, that's true. South African farmers are needed all over the world. They want them because they are among the best. They are among the best. Definitely they are among the best. And then Charles says, farmers are gifts from God. Why punish them? Okay, we read that one. And then the next one is Clotliso. He says, we need our farmers as much as we need our coal-powered power stations. That's Varkin needed Clotliso. We need our farmers, all right? And Jamil, he says, we must meet all farmers across the country so that they are aware we are standing strong with them. They must also acknowledge our strong stance and back us financially so that the message of the ACDP reaches far and wide. Jamil, die speaker op die kop geslaan vanavond. We shall not. Denise says, I love the truth. planting trees does not feed into their evil agenda. Definitely, it does not feed into their evil agenda. So, but we are going to beat them. We are going to beat them because people are waking up. People are waking up. We are going to beat them. Okay. Now, before we lose time, something interesting has been done by one of our favorite chain stores called Woolworths. Woolworths says they're going to promote and support LGBTQI plus what? Whatever is still coming, something that's still going to work on. Okay? So now, they are promoting gay rights, and they say anybody who don't agree with what they're doing, they call that person a bigot. That person is hateful. But I want to make one thing clear tonight. Disagreement does not equal hatred. These people are liars. When you disagree with them, they say you are hateful. We agree with God the Almighty who created male and female, finish and clap. So we are hated. We are told to we are hateful, but I want all our members to know that we don't and we must not hate anybody. The fact that we don't agree with the LGBTQ agenda does not mean we hate. We just disagree. Why don't they accept the fact that it's not everybody who agrees with them? Not everybody agrees with them, and not many people agree with me. And those who don't agree with me, I don't say they hate me just because they agree with me. So what Woolworths is doing is totally unacceptable, particularly because now they want to introduce this LGBTQ lifestyle to our children. Parents, word wakker, zugaan, stand up and protect your children. A number of organizations have called the public to boycott Woolworths, particularly this month, the month they call Pride Month, the month where they are just increasing, making LGBTQ popular. Let's join those who are protesting against Woolworths. The ACDP must also join because we want to protect our children. We want our children and we want your children to know that God created male and female. People have their own preferences. All these other things, LGBTQ things, these are preferences. God created male and female. So if they want to impose this lifestyle on our children, we need to say, Hokai. On stemni samni, asivumi, haridumeli. Re batswadi, re batla hore bana ba rona ba ke ba itse hore modimo ya ba ratang o tlhodile motho, monna le mosadi. God created male and female. So we are calling on you, our members, our supporters, and all those who love truth, and all those who love the Lord, and all those who love creation as God created it. Let's stand for the truth and say the Woolworths, those actually we have forgotten, should have brought the email addresses for them so that we write to them. Next week, we'll give you the email address of where to write. Okay, who to write to. Stacy says, people behind the LGBTQIA now movement are, Gen 6. They believe the world is overpopulated. And this alphabet movement will prevent humans from multiplying. All right? They say the world is overpopulated. When God asks people who fly, there's plenty of land that is inhabited. Plenty. There is plenty of land, plenty of room. These people just are hateful themselves. They hate what God loves. They want to destroy the people created in God's image. And that's why ACDP says, no, we're not going to allow that. Okay, Joseph says, next thing we know, the plus at the end of LGBTQIA becomes a B for bestiality, or P for pedophile, or R for rapist. God forbid. I agree with you, sir. Okay, thank you for putting that email address. Roy Bagatini, that's the email address. It's on the screen, I'm sure you can see it. Roy Bagatini at woolworths.co.za. Write to them. If you are a customer of Woolworths, say, I am a Woolworths customer, but I don't appreciate what Woolworths is now doing. They are sidelining majority of people who don't agree with this LGBTQI lifestyle. Billy Baker says, we cannot give up after June. It has to continue till they give up their overt and radical support for the gay agenda. They are giving our money that our Christian citizens spend there to gay organizations that are promoting the hate speech law. DP, please come in here, sir. What are we going to do? Do we have a strategy that we are going to apply to make sure that these guys don't succeed?
President, I think that we need to firstly join the other voices that are out there. And the ACDP has been warning from the time I joined the ACDP in 1995. I can recall, sir, you coming with literature that you received from the United States, and you warned that if South Africans don't wake up, this was in the late 1990s, and President, you warned then, as you showed us material of what is being taught to children in the United States, and you said this is what is going to be imported to South Africa and to our schools to be taught to our children. We fought tooth and nail against CSE, Comprehensive Sexuality Education, at Parliament. We had the Minister of, and I can recall the Minister of Education ridiculing us, saying that the only thing the ACDP is concerned about is sex, when we were exposing the agenda of comprehensive sexuality education and what they want to teach our children from as young as 6 years old. Because we exposed that, the minister made a laughing matter of it. But very clearly, what the ACDP has been warning about for all of these years is now at our doorstep. I did a presentation, President, many years ago about the dangers of CSE, Comprehensive Sexuality Education. We fought against it. The minister said it's not being implemented. But what we have found now is that there are pilot schools that are being used where the CSE, the Comprehensive Sexuality Education, which includes the LGBTQ plus agenda in CSE, is being introduced to some of our schools. A survey that was done, and I need to just find the source, but a survey was done which showed that where CSE was implemented in the schools, because we are told that our children need to be taught about their sexuality and it will help to reduce teenage pregnancies and so on. But where it has been introduced in the pilot schools, it is the very opposite. We've seen an increase in sexual immorality. We've seen an increase in teenage pregnancies, an increase in the number of girls from as young as 10 years old, 10-year-old girls up to 18 being impregnated. And sadly, some of the culprits are even the school teachers. But it is as a result of the policies of comprehensive sexuality education and the LGBTQ agenda. Now, President, you asked me a question, and the question is, what is the strategy? And because I had been muted, I was going to send a message. Please unmute me, because I need to put forward this particular strategy. Many of us, President, I have a Woolworths card, and Woolworths has been selling good products over the years. But I think that Woolworths has never. We don't have a section of clothing that is for the Christian community. We don't have a section of clothing that's for the Jewish community. so that Woolworths can be seen to be inclusive. So how does Woolworths include the Christian community? What Woolworths has done is they have included the LGBTQI community, but they are excluding the religious community. And I include not just Christians, that's about, I would estimate 60 to 80% of the profit from Woolworths is as a result of Christian customers. Now, what we got to do is to make it hurt in their pocket. And perhaps what we could do is announce a particular date. Those Woolworths cards that we have, that we call for all Christians to gather at Woolworths shops on a particular date. We go into the shops and we hand in our Woolworths cards as an indication that we will no longer be shopping at Woolworths unless they retract the policy which is offensive to Christians. Woolworths wants to be so-called inclusive, and they even have a LGBTQ think tank or group within their stores to look at how they can actually promote the LGBTQ agenda. But President, by doing so, they exclude the majority of South Africans, and that is discriminatory. But also, like you rightfully said, so I think that this is not hatefulness on the side of the ACDP. This is not homophobia on the side of the AC. On the contrary, this is Christophobia. What we are seeing here is Woolworths and the secular humanist agenda that are the attack against Christians across the world is increasing, and it's increasing exponentially. But we cannot just sit back and allow for these who have these wicked, evil agendas to have their way. We have to show that we are going to stand up and stand against what we consider to be an agenda that is an attack against the church and an attack against the family.
Yes, true. It's an attack against the family, and we will not allow Woolworths and other groups to sexualize children. What many of our friends do not know, and if necessary can bring in facts next week, is that those who are promoting free sex in society, actually they say the UN has sent out a communique to different countries saying, maybe before I go there, I'll come back to this issue. When you have adults who are driven by lust in top offices, offices of authority, places of authority, wanting to promote pedophilia, they say that children are also sexual beings. They say so. I can give you evidence. They say, and the UN also promotes teaching children sex from zero, from kindergarten. Children should be taught about sex. Not from primary school, from kindergarten. Why? Because they say children also have sexual rights. While we know that these are some of the evils that will happen in the last days, we are not going to fold our arms and say these are the last days, there is nothing we can do. We are going to resist evil, and evil will not triumph over us. If you're a Christian, remember that the word of the Lord says, through Jesus Christ, we are more than conquerors. That is why we must fight for our children. That's what Nehemiah said. When it was tough and they were surrounded by enemies throughout, Nehemiah said to the people of God, to the Jewish people, fight for your children. Fight for your families. And this is the hour that we have to do that. And maybe I should read that scripture for you in Nehemiah 4 to show and to remind us all that we are responsible. We must fight for our children. South Africa does not belong to the devil. South Africa belongs to the Lord. And he wants to give it to his people to run. So when the ungodly are saying they want free sex, God has moral standards. ACDP, we have moral standards, and we should not be ashamed of that. We don't want our children to have children. We don't want our children to lose their innocence. Our children must retain their innocence. So, Nehemiah, I'm going to read only verse 14, okay? He says, after I looked things over, I stood up and said to the nobles, the officials, and the rest of the people, do not be afraid of them. Remember the Lord, who is great and awesome, and fight for your families, your sons and your daughters, your wives and your homes. Fight for your families. Fight for your children. ACDP is ready to lead the fight against promiscuity. Our Honorable Steve, who serves on the Justice Committee, now I'm remembering something. Government was, the ANC was talking about legalizing prostitution. He argued so well from the legal point of view that prostitution, they are not planning to legalize it this year or this term, because we fought, we resisted, we pushed back. Our colleagues are doing a great job for the ACDP and for the country. So please, let's stand up, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, and fight for our children, fight for our families, and also for our farmers and their workers. Because without food, none of us will survive. Thank you for tuning in. Next week, hey, I'm enjoying it so much. I'm even thinking it's going to happen again tomorrow. Not tomorrow, next week. We will be with you. But next week, please come with an answer. We have been told that there are a number of churches that have home cells on Wednesday nights, and they are missing out on these programs. So they want to join us. We are considering to change the date. If necessary, maybe it will even be the time, the day of the week when we will be having these engagements together. Tuesday, Monday, or Thursday, or even Friday, which day of the week would you suggest that we consider? So next week, before we get into real issues, we are going to ask you to give feedback. Should we move from Wednesday? And if yes, to which day? And should we stay same time on Wednesdays? Don't you know of churches that are meeting on Wednesdays? Or what do you think? We need your opinion. Together, we are going to fight and win this battle in the name of the Lord. The Lord bless you and your families. Tell the farmers you know there is a party that loves them, the ACDP. My brother, you're closing this month.
Well, thank you, President. I just want to say that, it was an absolute pleasure also to be alongside of you in the Northern Cape. I saw another side of our president. I saw your negotiating skills. The farmer or the businessman there who understood that those pipes needed valves, and many of the pipes had no air valves in them, and that's why many of them were bursting. And I was prepared to offer his services, and you took that. He was a fairer color skin than us, and put him together with the municipal manager to find the solution to the problem in Marageng, I think it is, and so the Warrington area. And so, President, I think South Africans would be remiss if they do not support the ACDP in the 2024 elections with you, sir, as our president. My concluding remarks. Thank you.
Bless you, sir. Thank you very much for those kind words. The Lord bless you all. The Lord bless your families. Enjoy this evening. Enjoy this night. May no demons interfere with your sleep. Have a great sleep. God bless you.
God bless you.